Hi, welcome back to Year 10 Modern History, where we're continuing with our Depth Study 6, which is the personality Donald Trump. So in previous lessons, we looked at the broader American political landscape of left and right-wing politics. We looked at the Democratic and Republican political parties, key personalities like Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton, and also Trump's first few months of his presidency and his values and attitudes towards American society and the broader global society. So in the most recent few lessons, we started looking at the Black Lives Matter movement and Donald Trump's role within this movement. So we learned about the origins of the movement. It started in 2013 with the aim of eradicating white supremacy, protecting Black communities against violence and oppression, and also promoting Black culture. So we looked at Donald Trump's reaction to the Black Lives Matter movement and how he used the media as a way of treating those involved publicly in a bad way. And we also looked at a variety of videos and articles that contain key statistics regarding the demographics and the ages of people involved with these protests and those that are against these protests. So we got a good understanding of the background of the movement. In this lesson, we will be moving on to the media's role within the Black Lives Matter movement and how it plays a part in American politics and sways attitudes. So in this lesson, we will be able to understand the importance of the role of the media in conveying information and how different media companies are often aligned with left and right-wing politics, despite the overall goal of journalism to be is being objective. We'll also look at the power of images in evoking certain emotional responses and how images can sway our understanding of certain political events. Okay, so I'll go through the learning goals for this lesson. So by the end of this lesson, we will be able to understand the power of images in understanding the Black Lives Matter movement. We'll also be able to understand how the images taken of the Black Lives Matter movement convey the political attitudes and feelings towards it. We will be able to understand also the power of the media and how its reporting of the Black Lives Matter movement can influence the thoughts and attitudes of others. And we'll be able to identify the left and right-wing branches of the American media and their relationship with Trump. So the first activity, we'll be looking at the ABC News compilation of images, which is entitled Black Lives Matter, a Movement in Photos. So this activity will require us to have a look at the different images included in the slideshow. And this is being taught so that we can understand the power of images and what they tell us about the Black Lives Matter movement. So you might find that these images in this slideshow convey a national attitude towards the movement, at least from certain demographic perspectives. So while we're looking at the images, it's important to take particular note of the protest signs that are used. Also look at the expressions on people's faces. Are they angry? Are they sad? Are they happy? Also look at the amount of people there and what sort of actions they're performing. Okay, so what sort of a stance are they in, and what can that tell us about people's attitudes towards the Black Lives Matter movement? So in this activity, you'll need to pick an image, write down why you chose it. So why did you find that image to be the most powerful or most compelling to you? What the image shows, what is actually in the image, the people, the signs, the language used, and what does it tell you about the Black Lives Matter movement in America? So this will be an individual task, and you'll write down your thoughts and feelings in your notebook. Okay, moving on to the second activity now. So we know from the earlier weeks of learning about Donald Trump that the American political landscape and the American media is heavily divided by left and right wing principles. So we know that the terms left and right is basically a system for classifying political positions based on left or right ideologies. So left being egalitarianism, which is all people are equal and should have equal opportunities, and the right being more conservative. So right-wing politics are mainly based on preserving existing conditions. So that could be whether it be religious beliefs, so against gay marriage, abortion, things like that. So we know from the previous task that the media holds a great power in its influence over people's thoughts, opinions, and attitudes. So we saw that the images that we looked at were quite powerful in how they spoke to us and what messages they convey about the Black Lives Matter movement. But it's important to look at written words as well. So this activity will require us to look at 2 articles written by 2 different publishers, one being Fox News in America, one being Forbes. So while we're doing this activity, we will need to look at it with an objective approach, which is a term you've probably come across. So that's to be able to look at something without being influenced by your own personal feelings or beliefs. By engaging in this activity with an objective approach, we'll be able to analyse the articles for elements of bias and propaganda. So it's important to, when you're looking for bias and propaganda, to look at the language used in the article. What types of language? Is it emotive? Is it persuasive? Look at the author and the publisher. It's, can usually be very telling if something contains elements of bias, and what topics are the articles talking about. So the first article we'll be looking at is entitled "Democrats Cheering Black Lives Matter Protests Now Say Trump Rallies Pose Coronavirus Risk," which is written by Fox News, published by Fox News rather. The second article is "Trump Called Black Lives Matter Protests Thugs, but Capitol Swarming Supporters Very Special." That was published by Forbes. So in this activity, we will read the first article together as a class, and we'll be able to fill out the scaffolded table that you have. So the key elements of the scaffolded table are: who was it written by? Identify the key terminology used. What were the key messages of the article? And do you think this is left or right wing or both? So we will go through the first article together, which is the Fox News article. And then for the second article, you can read it in pairs and make sure you identify the key information in both of your tables. After you complete that scaffolded table for both of the articles, you'll need to undertake a paired research task. So you'll need to research both of the publishers, Forbes and Fox News. So research the history of the publishers, if they're typically left-wing or right-wing, or if they're objective. And find other articles, find 2 other articles that those publishers have published about the topic of Trump and Black Lives Matter. Okay, and I want you to read those articles and be able to compare it to the articles that we just read and see if they contain the same elements of propaganda or bias, or if they don't contain anything like that at all.